Hi everyone, welcome to Romance Stories. Before watching the video, please give me a like and subscribe. Thank you very much. At the class reunion, I publicly declared that I would never leave my wife. But right there, in front of everyone, she was passionately kissing another man. She did it because she heard he was a high-level executive with an 8-figure annual salary, while she believed I had just gone bankrupt and was drowning in debt. What she didn't know was that I wasn't bankrupt. In fact, I was that man's boss. I had just stepped out of the restroom when I saw my wife locked in an embrace with him. Victor, that pathetic simp, was smugly sipping a glass of wine. I don't know what he had whispered to her, but Serena was radiant. She playfully tapped Victor's chest with her fist. Arthur's gone bankrupt, Victor sneered. Are you afraid he'll be jealous? Who's afraid of him? Serena chirped. Take that. And that. As long as you hang out with me and have a good time, who cares about a piece of trash like him? Besides eating and sleeping, when has he ever truly cared for you? Seeing Victor leaning in to kiss my wife again, I lunged forward. My fist connected squarely with Victor's face. I turned to her, trembling. Serena, do you have any idea what you're doing? Instead of looking panicked or guilty, she glared at me with pure disgust. What is wrong with you? It was just a game. I lost, and I was accepting a small penalty. Are you really making this big of a scene? She turned away from me to anxiously check on Victor. Are you okay? Does it hurt? Oh, your nose is bleeding. I'm so sorry. Let me make it up to you on Arthur's behalf. Don't mind him, he's gone crazy. Ever since the bankruptcy, he's been suspicious of me every single day. When have I ever been suspicious of you? I roared. In front of all our old classmates, you are openly flirting with someone else and stabbing me in the back. And now you're still throwing dirt on my name. My blood was boiling. I wanted to slap her right then and there. But someone grabbed my arm, holding me back. Arthur, don't be like that. Everyone was just joking. We were playing truth or dare. Serena lost, so this was just her penalty. This is all just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. I snapped. I'm not blind. Back in college, Victor had constantly pursued my wife. Serena was the campus belle, beautiful but cold. Back then, she hated Victor even more than I did. But at this party, ever since she learned about Victor's success story, how he became a CEO with a massive salary, the way she looked at him had completely changed. Don't stop him, Serena said coldly to the person holding me back. Let him hit me. He has no money left, and yet his ego is still this petty. Seeing that my former classmates were holding me back, Serena's arrogance flared even brighter. She leaned in and gave Victor a deliberate, forceful kiss on the cheek, right in front of me. Arthur, let me tell you something, she sneered. Victor is richer than you and stronger than you. So what if I like him? Look at your petty, narrow-minded attitude. Your brain is clearly inferior to Victor's. You were planning on hitting someone? She continued. No one has even said anything yet, but here you are, jumping up and down like a clown. Do you have no dignity left? I wrenched myself away from the people holding me. Before she could blink, I swung my hand. Slap. The blow landed hard on Serena's face. Her cheek began to swell almost instantly. Serena stood there, dazed, her eyes filled with disbelief. Arthur, you hit a woman? Are you even a man? I slapped her again with a backhand. Hit you? You're damn right I'll hit you. Whether I'm a man or not, you know better than anyone. For years, I gave you everything. I spoiled you and put you on a pedestal. And this is how you repay me? Fine. I'll see you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow morning. There is an old saying, husband and wife are birds of the same forest, but when disaster strikes, they fly their separate ways. A month ago, my company's capital chain was on the verge of collapsing. At the time, Serena kept promising she would stand by me through the hardship and never leave. I was deeply moved. Since then, the company didn't just survive the crisis. It thrived beyond my wildest dreams. I had planned to give her a massive surprise by transferring a significant portion of my shares into her name. I never imagined that this was the gift she had waiting for me today. Fine. If this is how she wants it, I'll make sure she doesn't get a single cent. Arthur, you want a divorce? Serena shouted, regaining her composure. Then go right ahead. Let's see who's really afraid. The house is mine. You can pack your bags and get out tonight. As for those bad debts you have out there, I have no obligation to help you pay back a single penny. Stay right here. She pulled out her phone. I'm calling a lawyer. I'll have him draft the divorce papers to protect my legal interests to the fullest extent. I want this over with quickly. Victor, who had been silently watching the drama unfold, finally spoke up. Arthur, I know your business failed and you're in a bad mood. But there's no need to take your anger out on Serena. You've become temperamental and moody. Serena would truly suffer if she stayed with you. It's like a beautiful flower planted in cow dung. As he spoke, Victor pulled an exquisite and beautiful necklace from his pocket. He placed it around Serena's neck. Serena, don't you like it? Don't be sad. It's not worth shedding tears over a person like him. From now on, I will take care of you. I won't let you suffer even the slightest bit of injustice. Serena looked at Victor, tears streaming down her face, and nodded heavily. Victor seized the opportunity to pull her into his arms, his large hand wandering back and forth across her waist and back. It turned out they had been connected for a long time. Today, they had intentionally come here just to humiliate me. Truly, a bitch makes a perfect pair with a dog. Arthur, Victor approached me, his face brimming with pride. He leaned in so only the two of us could hear, his voice dripping with arrogance. Arthur, I told you once before, your strength, your power, your wealth, and your woman. I will take them all. So what if you once lived a glorious life? Why you look like a flattened bug now? You've stepped into the mud, but I am different. I'm at the peak of my life right now, he continued. Working for the most famous corporation in the country, earning an 8-figure salary, and highly valued by the leadership. I'm about to join high society. And you? Are you heading to the East Tokyo slums to scavenge for trash? After Victor finished his taunt, he couldn't help but let out a burst of crazed laughter. I clenched my fists. I knew exactly what I had to do. Ignoring his mockery, my fists began to fall like raindrops on Victor's face. In all my years of being a man, I have always lived by one principle. If someone respects me, I repay them in kind. If someone bullies me, I pay them back twofold. Fighting tooth for tooth and meeting violence with violence is the only way. I was much taller than Victor and exercised year-round, while he was nothing but a weakling. He was never my match. Soon, Victor's face was bruised and swollen. He collapsed to his knees, begging for mercy. Only then did my classmates manage to pull me away. Serena was sobbing, looking like a pear blossom drenched in rain. She knelt clumsily by Victor's side, disheveled and frantic, her mouth muttering incoherently. Are you okay? Serena whispered until Victor gave a weak nod. Only then did she find the strength to look up and glare at me. Her eyes were burning with a hatred so intense, it was as if I were her sworn, mortal enemy. Arthur, divorcing you is the best thing I've ever done in my life, she spat. I looked at the sheer determination and loathing in her eyes. In a way, I was grateful my company had run into trouble. It had allowed me to see this woman's true face. She used to act so sensitive and well-behaved, but it was all a facade. I gave a slight, condescending smile. Serena, you are pure trash. You and Victor deserve each other. You're a pair of scoundrels. Make sure you stay locked together so you don't go out and harm anyone else. I turned my gaze to Victor. As for you, Victor, your moral character is bankrupt. You aren't fit to stay at our corporation. You are fired, effective immediately. Victor was shocked for a split second, but then he burst into a crazed laughter, even though the movement made his swollen face throb. Arthur, you are firing me? Who do you think you are? The sun hasn't even set yet. What kind of daydreaming is this? I pulled out my phone and called my assistant, instructing her to notify the Human Resources Department immediately. Let's verify this, I said calmly. Victor isn't some high-level executive at our collection department or the head of a major subsidiary as he claims. An 8-figure salary? He certainly knows how to brag. At most, he makes a few million. Whether you believe it or not, you'll find out soon enough, I added, putting my phone away. Suddenly, Victor clutched his chest in a mock display of terror. Oh, Arthur, I'm so scared. I'm truly terrified of being fired by you. He checked his watch. 5 minutes have passed. Why haven't I received the call yet? There are people here whose businesses actually went bankrupt because of your big mouth, and yet you're still standing there with a swollen face, pretending to be a big shot. Arthur, do you really think that just because your last name is the same as our great chairman, you can actually compare yourself to him and fire me? I'm shaking in my boots. Victor spat blood toward me. I looked at his arrogance and simply sighed, shaking my head. Back in college, Victor had always viewed me as an imaginary enemy. It was because my grades were better, I won more awards, and I was the president of the student union. I'd even made my first fortune by starting a company while still in school, back when my classmates admired and looked up to me. This is exactly the kind of thing that eats away at people with small minds. Victor was one of those people. Throughout our college years, he tried to provoke me at every turn. The fact that Serena, the goddess he had spent years groveling for, had chosen to marry me was a massive blow to his ego. I just didn't expect that after all these years, his skills and knowledge hadn't grown an inch. His shallow, malicious nature and bloated arrogance remained completely unchanged. I was tired of dealing with people like him. I stood up to leave, but Victor suddenly grabbed my arm. Trying to leave? Arthur, are you that scared? Fine, if you want to run away, I won't stop you. He sneered. I'll be the bigger man and let a villain like you off the hook just once. All you have to do is crawl between my legs. Do that, and I'll forget this ever happened. Otherwise, he continued, I'll call the police. I'll sue you for assault and battery. I'll make sure you spend your days rotting behind bars. Victor spread his legs triumphantly, looking as if he held the winning lottery ticket. A few of our former classmates burst into laughter. I let out a cold snort and, using every bit of strength I had, planted a kick directly between his legs. Since you don't seem to want these things anymore, there's no need to keep them. A second later, a scream like a pig in a slaughterhouse echoed through the room. Victor collapsed to the ground, clutching his groin in agony. His face turned deathly pale, and large beads of sweat broke out on his forehead. Even the hand he pointed at me was trembling uncontrollably. I turned to walk away without looking back, but Victor forced himself up. He staggered after me and blocked the doorway with his entire body. There's no way you're escaping. You hurt me, he gasped. You're going to pay me $5 million for medical expenses and emotional distress. And today's meal cost 20,000 renminbi. You're going to pay for that too. You want me to pay you? I snorted coldly. And you think you're worthy of that? I'm eating in my own restaurant. Why would I pay out of my own pocket? I added with a smirk. I'm afraid that even if I offered to pay, the staff here wouldn't dare take my money. Victor's eyes went wide. He stared at me as if I were a fool. Arthur, if I'm hearing you correctly, are you claiming that you own this entire restaurant? I nodded. This time, I finally stopped hiding the truth. Come here, everyone. Come and look at our dear old classmate. Victor shouted, gesturing wildly. I thought he was just a fool, but it turns out he's a world-class windbag, a great boss and a superior. Your company is bankrupt, Arthur. You think we don't know? And yet here you are, still trying to play the big bad wolf. Why are you so hypocritical? Victor continued, turning to Serena. Face the facts. Stop being so self-righteous. Serena, I told you so, didn't I? Arthur is just a frog at the bottom of a well. How could he ever be worthy of you? A pure, flawless white swan. Thank God you were wise enough to cut ties with him early, or he would have dragged you down to the grave with him. Serena listened to Victor's words, preening like a peacock. When she looked up at me, her gaze had grown even more cruel and mocking. Arthur, you truly make me sick, she said. Do you think turning yourself into a laughingstock like this, claiming things that don't belong to you, will make me change my mind? You're wrong. This only makes me loathe you more. Since we were once husband and wife, I'll give you one piece of friendly advice. Get on your knees and beg Victor for mercy. Otherwise, don't ever dream of setting foot in this social circle again. Is that so? I replied coldly. You want to blacklist me from the entire industry? Fine. I turned and called over a nearby manager. I want my meal to be free. Let this gentleman here handle the rest of the bill. Since Victor wants to flaunt his wealth and play the generous host, let him pay for everyone. After all, that money ends up in my pocket anyway. The manager looked at me with hesitation. Sir, this is a top-tier private restaurant. Our guests are all wealthy or of high status. We have never had a precedent for waiving a bill entirely. I realized he must be a new hire. It was normal that he didn't recognize me. Oh, I see. You're new here. In that case, go and get your lazy general manager. Before the words had even left my mouth, Victor started clapping mockingly. Arthur, you just got slapped in the face, and you're still pretending. You truly have the thickest skin I've ever seen in my life. You're absolutely shameless. Can someone really make a fortune starting a company in college? Victor sneered. You just caught a lucky break with the trends of the time. Back then, even a pig could fly if it caught the right wind. What? You still think you're lucky? You think luck follows you for a lifetime. Victor poked me repeatedly in the chest to humiliate me, speaking with a manic passion, his face flushing deep red. My former classmates pointed at me and whispered, shaking their heads and sighing. But in the next second, Victor's entire face was submerged. I had grabbed him and shoved his head into a tureen of soup sitting on the sideboard by the door. If your mouth is dirty, wash it, I said coldly. If you're blind, go to a hospital for treatment. You have a lot of nerve acting up in front of me. Victor lunged back, dripping with vegetables and broth. Humiliated to the extreme, he shrieked, "Manager, call security. Get your boss up here right now. Arthur, just you wait. I'm going to show you exactly what despair feels like." I sat back leisurely and took 7 slow sips of tea. Then I replied softly, "Is that so?" "Arthur, don't you dare leave." Victor barked, "Do you have the guts to make a bet with me?" I set down my teacup. "What are you betting? Didn't you claim this restaurant is yours? If you lose, you get on your knees and kowtow to me. You'll apologize and call me grandfather, and you'll post the whole thing on your social media. Aren't you afraid of shooting yourself in the foot?" I looked at him with a faint smile. "And what if you lose?" "I won't lose. I earn tens of millions a year. I just became a premium member of this restaurant. Even this luxury private room we're in, I had to pull a lot of strings just to book it." The smile vanished from my lips. "Then let's add one more thing. Whoever loses has to run naked around this restaurant 3 times. The moment I said it, he couldn't wait to agree. Just as the bet was finalized, the manager walked in, leading the general manager. "Boss, it's him," the manager said, pointing at me. "He wants to eat for free and refuses to pay. Boss, we should call the police. If word gets out that people can eat here for free, it will ruin our restaurant's reputation." The manager stood aside respectfully as the general manager stepped forward. "You're saying this man is a freeloader?" The manager didn't understand why, but he nodded heavily. Victor looked incredibly proud of himself. "You're the boss of this restaurant," Victor said, puffing out his chest. "I've told you everything. The customer is king, but I don't think your service is quite up to par. I'm a highly educated man, a top-tier graduate. Normally, I wouldn't waste my time with low-class people like you." Victor pointed a trembling finger at me. "But you must deal with this man for me. We're having a class reunion today. The total bill is 200,000 renminbi. I'm paying 180,000. You make him pay the remaining 20,000. But I'm warning you, he's just a penniless frog. Make him sell his blood or donate a kidney, or force him to wash dishes for the rest of his life. I don't care." A smirk of triumph played on Victor's lips. His mockery was thick enough to taste, his eyes practically screaming. "Let's see how much longer you can keep up this charade." Serena shook her head and sighed, her voice dripping with fake sincerity. "Arthur, your creditors call you every single day. Do you think I don't know what's going on? You've lost your dignity, and now you have to face the consequences. Do you really think you can pretend to be rich here? If you're willing to kneel and kowtow to Victor right now, it's still not too late." So that was it. A few days ago, my lawyer had called me to discuss the share transfer. I wanted it to be a surprise, so I'd stepped away to take the calls in private. She had assumed those were debt collectors hounding me. Victor squeezed Serena's hand. "Serena, don't bother. It's hard to convince a damn mangy frog with kind words. You're too good-hearted and generous, but some people just don't appreciate it." But in the next heartbeat, a sharp, stinging sound filled the air. Crack! The general manager delivered a brutal slap to the manager's face. "You blind idiot," the GM roared. "You don't even recognize the big boss? If you want to ruin your life, don't you dare drag the rest of us down with you. Get to the finance office, collect your final paycheck, and get the hell out." At the same time, Victor and Serena cried out in unison, "Director, he's the boss." The realization hit them like a physical blow. Victor stared at me, his face frozen in a mask of absolute horror. For a long time, not a single other word was uttered. The fired manager dropped to the floor, clutching my legs and wailing for mercy. The general manager shoved him aside. "Get out now. Or do you want to lose your final paycheck too?" Terrified to the point of losing control of his bladder, the manager scrambled away. But Victor still refused to accept reality until he saw the white dog, undeniable truth, for himself. He stared at the general manager. "Have you lost your mind? Arthur is a nobody, a lying scoundrel. How could he possibly be the big boss of your restaurant? Don't let him trick you. Serena chimed in, desperate to salvage the situation. Exactly. He's my husband. How could I not know he has this kind of status? You're just an actor he hired, aren't you? I've always been the owner, I said calmly. But very few people knew. If it weren't for the situation today, I never would have revealed my identity. Victor wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, still trying to find a loophole, but the general manager silenced him with a flurry of kicks and slaps. Who do you think you are? The GM roared. How dare you insult our chairman? I looked at the stunned faces of Victor and Serena and smiled gently. Victor, it's time for you to fulfill your promise. Victor's face turned ashen. He stood there, frozen like a statue. Even now, Serena tried to protect him. Arthur, don't go too far. I raised my hand and signaled the security guards. His clothes seem a bit too tight. Help him get comfortable. Victor was forced down into a half-kneeling position on the floor. Arthur, I never thought you were this kind of person, he hissed. Repaying kindness with hatred? How can you be so petty? I leaned down and slapped Victor's cheek repeatedly. Not hard, but mockingly. I'm a man of my word. Unlike you, whose words are worth as much as a fart. I signaled a waiter to bring over a credit card machine. Old classmate, didn't you say you were treating everyone today? Don't leave anyone out. I looked at Victor's pained expression. He let out a forced, hysterical laugh. What? Why should I pay it all? What's wrong? Your annual salary is tens of millions, isn't it? Surely you can afford this tiny amount. Victor was choked with rage. There are 10 of us, 20,000 per person. Why should I pay the whole bill? What a pathetic scoundrel, I mused. And to think, you're just a lowly branch manager after all. Your annual salary is $1 million at most. How could you ever be willing to fork out $200,000 for a single meal? When the other classmates heard this, they realized Victor couldn't actually afford the tab. The complaints and accusations started flying instantly. Victor, you're the one who invited us here, one classmate complained. I was actually busy today, but you said this was a treat. You insisted I had to come. I have a small child at home to care for, and now you're demanding I pay my own way. Victor, who valued his face above all else, suddenly found himself the target of public outcry. Being interrogated and accused by everyone made his face twist in a grotesque mask of shame. He stood there for a long time, speechless, still not intending to pay the bill. Security, I called out. Strip him and throw him in the dumpster. Garbage belongs with garbage. Victor would have given anything to avoid being naked in broad daylight. But how could I let him off the hook? I watched as Victor, wearing nothing but a pair of red boxers, sat trembling in the dumpster with his hands over his head. Meanwhile, I got into my luxury car and hummed a tune as I drove away. Arthur, you just wait. Victor screamed in a blind rage. I'll kill you sooner or later. Serena, dressed in her beautiful, sexy gown, stood far away, pinching her nose and refusing to step any closer to him. Their inseparable love amounted to nothing more than this. The next morning, Victor stepped out of his BMW with Serena by his side. They walked haughtily toward the office building. The moment Serena saw me, she rushed over like a madwoman. Arthur, I was almost fooled by your actors, she shrieked. Luckily, I had someone investigate last night. The legal representative of that private restaurant isn't you at all. You certainly went to great lengths just to save face. She sneered, what's the deal? How much did you pay that boss to play along in your little movie? It was a great performance. I bet you guys rehearsed a lot, didn't you? Last night, I had my assistant call my lawyer. The basic paperwork was already finished. I pulled out the divorce papers, the terms laid out in stark black and white. Baby, let's go in and get this done quickly, Victor said, intentionally planting a hard, wet kiss on Serena's cheek. He looked at me with a smirk, trying to provoke a reaction. A scoundrel and a bitch, a perfect match. I sincerely hoped they would stay locked together forever. The moment we walked out after receiving the divorce certificate, Serena immediately grabbed her new marriage certificate with Victor. She took a photo and sent it to all her friends. Some blamed her for acting so recklessly while she was still so young, but they couldn't possibly know whether she had married a man or a dog. To her, it was all worth it because she believed the best things in life were waiting for her just around the corner. My love, as long as I can be by your side, nothing else matters, Victor whispered. I took my phone away, looked at Serena, and smiled. We've only been separated for 3 days, and yet you've already moved on. It's truly impressive. Even for someone's mistress, they usually speak with more selflessness than this. Serena let out a cold snort, her face full of indifference. Arthur, don't think I can't tell you're just trying to sow discord here. What? Are you regretting the divorce now? Don't play these aggressive stalking games with me. I'm not falling for it. What's wrong with being his woman? She continued haughtily. Victor's annual salary is tens of millions. He's a business executive, young and promising with a bright future. As for you, from now on, you'll be chased through the streets by creditors like a rat in a sewer, never seeing the light of day. Is that so? Well, I only wish you happiness, I replied calmly. Just look out for yourself. Try not to end up in northern Myanmar having your kidneys harvested or your limbs hacked off. You won't even be able to find your own grave to cry over. Victor pulled Serena into his arms and glared at me. My dear Serena, don't worry. I will definitely treat you well. I won't let you suffer a single grievance. You won't feel a thing for that paper tiger anymore. He turned to her with a sleazy grin. Wait for me a little longer. I'll make sure to finalize the divorce with my current wife soon, so I can give you real happiness. And Serena, let me tell you some good news. I negotiated another huge deal this morning. Just a small 300,000 to 400,000 renminbi commission coming my way. In a few days, I'll buy you a new car. You'll never have to look like a loser ever again. You've suffered enough lately. Serena looked triumphant, leaning into Victor's arms like a delicate little bird. Not only did she kiss him, but she also clung to his arms seductively. You're the best thing that ever happened to me, she cooed. Back in the day, Serena used to complain to me daily about how ugly and vulgar Victor was, saying his presence was nothing but a nuisance. Now, because of the money, she couldn't stop singing his praises. It truly seems that with enough money, even a bully can become a saint in her eyes. So, a commission of 300,000 to 400,000? I mused. That's quite a kickback, isn't it? As we were speaking, a Rolls-Royce Cullinan pulled up to the curb. My assistant stepped out, dressed in a sleek, professional suit, elegant and striking. She respectfully opened the rear door for me. I was about to step inside when Serena rushed forward in a fit of rage and tried to slap me. Arthur, you bastard. How dare you find a mistress on the side? You cheated during our marriage. No, you must compensate me for emotional distress and my wasted youth. That'll be 1 million. Before our wedding, in an attempt to prove her deep, non-materialistic love, Serena had insisted on a prenuptial agreement. It stated that if we divorced, I would leave with nothing but the clothes on my back. Now, she was shamelessly demanding a breakup fee. But before I could even open my mouth, my assistant delivered a stinging slap to Serena's face. Vulgar words deserve a harsh lesson, my assistant said coldly. If you continue to scream and harass my boss, the entire legal department of the Ever Family Group will be waiting for you. Victor suddenly burst into laughter. What legal department? Arthur, you really went out and hired another drama queen. Bragging isn't a substitute for reality. Victor laughed as he delivered a hard kick to the tire of my car. This Cullinan, rented, right? A few thousand you want a day? You can't even afford food, yet you're renting a luxury car? You're truly obsessed with saving face regardless of the consequences. Since we were classmates, Victor sneered, I'll give you a little change so you can afford some instant noodles and pickles. Victor pulled a brand new 1 yuan note from his wallet and flicked it at me. It fluttered against my chest before falling to the ground. Pick it up, he commanded. Why don't you pick it up? And this pretty little thing. Victor sneered, looking at my assistant. He even found a beautiful girl to act with him. Hey, gorgeous, I'll give you 2 options. Leave him or come sleep with me. Victor let out a half-witted laugh. My assistant didn't hesitate. She kicked him so hard he flew back half a meter. He truly had a death wish. I turned to my assistant. Those who never learn manners should be taught a lesson. But don't make too much of a mess. My assistant was a taekwondo master. Letting her handle a scrawny dog like Victor was almost unfair. 5 minutes later, Victor's already swollen and bruised face looked even more pathetic. He was kneeling on the ground, hands raised, begging for mercy. Serena, meanwhile, stood there wringing her hands, looking both provoked and furious. Victor, what do you mean you want to sleep with another woman? She shrieked. It hurts, it hurts. Honey, I was just joking. Victor groaned, trying to comfort Serena as he struggled to stand. He aggressively spat blood toward me. Arthur, you coward, hiding behind a woman. What kind of man are you? Besides, he continued, you think you're going to fire me? I haven't been fired. In fact, I'm attending the company's annual gala next week to receive an award. Just wait until I get my year-end bonus. I'll buy 100 million in Joss paper and burn it at your front door so you can finally taste the happiness of being a wealthy man. My assistant slapped him back down to the ground, finally forcing him to be silent. I sat in the back seat of the Cullinan and looked at her. Confirm the guest list for the annual gala next week. Is Victor on it? He is, sir, she replied. Shall I remove him? No, let him come. And make sure to announce that this year, employees are encouraged to bring their family members. The assistant nodded, then asked doubtfully, Sir, do we not need to fire him right now? Firing him is too easy, I replied coldly, making him realize that his life is over while he's at the height of his pride. That is my goal. How is the investigation? I asked for coming along. Almost finished, sir. Very good. Serena loves vanity and is desperate to prove her status. She will move heaven and earth to attend that gala. Let's give her exactly what she wants. Victor, don't let me down. I'm truly looking forward to seeing you again. As expected, the annual gala arrived 1 week later. Serena did not disappoint. Today, she looked as if she had spent hours meticulously preparing. Her hair was styled in sultry, seductive waves, and her lips were painted a fiery, bold red. She wore a gown with a dangerously high slit and a plunging back that reached almost to her waist, leaving her skin entirely exposed. The sheer boldness of the neckline was a shock, barely covering the essentials. Word had spread that the chairman of the Ever family group would be attending tonight. Rumor had it he was young, handsome, and, most importantly, unbelievably wealthy. It's a pity I couldn't find a single photo of him online after searching for so long, Serena thought to herself. But it doesn't matter. He can only be mine. What? Those other girls want to seduce my future husband? Keep dreaming. Serena? What are you over here muttering to yourself about? Victor asked, approaching from a short distance away. He grabbed her arm and planted a kiss on her hair. Serena took the opportunity to lean back into Victor's embrace. Oh, it's nothing. I just feel like I've finally cast off that ghost of a past, Serena whispered. We are definitely moving toward better things. That's a guarantee, Victor replied, his eyes roaming over her. But baby, you look absolutely stunning tonight. Once this gala is over, I'm going to make sure I take very good care of you. As Victor and Serena walked away, I stepped out from the shadows. My assistant stood ready for instructions. You mentioned his wife? I asked. Send a gift to Victor's actual wife. Make sure she receives it and comes here. On such an important occasion, how could Mrs. Sophie possibly be missing? I walked toward the entrance and spotted Serena still clinging to Victor's arm, chatting enthusiastically with the other guests. She had a look of smug pride on her face, as if the two of them had already successfully broken into high society. As she stepped aside holding a glass of red wine, she accidentally bumped into me. The moment she saw my face, her expression contorted as if she had just seen something filthy. She lunged toward me threateningly. Arthur, how the hell did you get in here? She hissed. You don't have an invitation. How did you even get up to this floor? I simply wanted to come, so I came, I replied calmly. Arthur, your ghost is still haunting me, isn't it? Are you planning to beg me to get back together? Serena stepped closer, looking at me with pure loathing. I'm warning you, it's never happening. Get out of here right now. This is the annual gala of the Ever family group. Aside from exceptional employees like my husband who are being honored, only senior executives of each company are qualified to attend, Serena sneered. You're just a debt-ridden bastard. Only a man like Victor deserves to stand here. As she spoke, Victor arrived. He slid his hand naturally across Serena's lower back, intentionally caressing her exposed skin. Oops, baby, I thought I recognized someone, he mocked. Turns out it's just a beggar with no money for food. Came here to sneak some free appetizers and drinks, did you? But I recall you used to work for the Ever Group. Then again, you were kicked out like trash. Seeing such a luxurious and elegant annual gala that you're not even qualified to attend. Must feel pretty terrible, right? Victor adjusted his lapels. Some people are just born bitter. You think wearing a suit makes you an elite? If I were you, I'd disappear as far as possible so I don't offend the eyes of the big shots, or worse, get beaten down by security. In that moment, I looked at Victor and realized how pathetic he truly was. I wondered what ability he had relied on to secure a manager position. He was both blind and deaf to reality, yet he continued to boast. I stared Victor directly in the eye and spoke clearly. If I don't show up, let's see if they even dare to start this meeting. Victor burst into a fit of laughter. Arthur, it's been 3 days. Are you still living in a daydream? Your acting skills are top-notch, though. You really should have been an actor. If I were the host of the Oscars, I'd definitely hand you 2 little statues. Ha ha ha. Victor intentionally raised his voice, drawing the attention of those nearby. Several executives in their 30s and 40s turned to look. Serena's face was twisted with contempt as she whispered a warning. Arthur, you are truly a fraud and utterly shameless. You've reached a new low. I'm telling you, leave now. Don't ruin things for me and Victor. Victor, what's all the noise about? A voice interrupted. Victor bowed respectfully. Manager Sean, this is just my friend's ex-husband. He's got no skills and no money to eat after the divorce. So he snuck into our company gala to steal food and drinks. Finally, I understood how Victor had become a supervisor. It was all thanks to that mouth of his. It opened and closed only to spew nonsense and flatter his superiors. It was a shame that such dogs and cats had managed to infiltrate the ranks. It lowered the entire prestige of the gala. I made a mental note to tell my assistant to tighten the screening process and clear these people out. Before I could say a word, Manager Sean waved a hand dismissively. Go, go, go. We're in a hurry to get to the entrance to greet the big boss. Don't let him catch us being late. From start to finish, none of the department managers even looked at me. Indeed, in an era of worshiping superiors and suppressing subordinates, they didn't have eyes for anyone they deemed below them. Who cares about an ant on the side of the road? They could almost be forgiven for not recognizing me. After all, the Ever family group spans countless sectors with not dozens, but hundreds of subsidiaries across the country. Typically, work reports never reach my desk directly. Victor looked at the departing manager with a sycophantic gaze before turning back to me, his face twisted with even more contempt. Arthur, you heard the man. I'm giving you one last chance to get lost. Otherwise, don't blame me for calling security to break your legs. Serena also glared at me with fury. Arthur, get out of here. Stop sitting there like a loathsome toad. If you upset the group and stall Victor's future, I will never forgive you. I ignored them and calmly sat down in a plush, idle chair at the head of the area. And who are you two to think you're worthy of making me leave? Victor was shocked. He lunged forward to grab me. Have you lost your mind? That is the seat reserved for our chairman ever. You dare sit there? Security, seize this arrogant trash. This self-righteous piece of filth deserves to have his legs broken. Throw him out and feed him to the dogs. Serena looked at Victor with admiration. You look so handsome when you take charge. When the chairman arrives, I'm sure he'll praise you for protecting his seat. At that exact moment, my assistant arrived with a squad of elite bodyguards. Let me see which of you dares to lay a finger on him. Victor snorted coldly. You again? You damn bitch. What film crew hired you? Whatever Arthur is paying you, I'll pay you double. As he spoke, Victor pulled out his phone, intending to transfer money via WeChat on the spot. But before he could even scan a code, my assistant delivered a slap so powerful it sent him crashing to the floor. You bastard! You dare hit me? Victor screamed from the ground. Who gave you the courage? I'm warning you, I was personally handpicked by the group to attend this gala, to be rewarded and promoted. Who do you think you are? Once I rise to the top, you'll be the first one I destroy. My assistant let out a mocking laugh. A person like you? You're just a blind insect, a fox trying to borrow the tiger's terror. If I hadn't personally put you on the list, do you really think you could have even walked through the doors of this banquet hall? Victor's eyes darted back and forth as he tried to process this. He pointed at me again, his voice trembling. Stop putting gold on your own face. How much did you pay this assistant to play along? I cut him off. I looked at my assistant and gave the command. Notify everyone. The annual gala starts now 1 hour ahead of schedule. As my assistant hung up the phone, Victor pointed at me and erupted into crazed laughter. Everyone, look at this. We have a piece of trash actor here who's addicted to his own performance. He didn't just come here to freeload on food and drinks. Victor shouted to the room. He's acting like he runs the place, claiming to move the annual gala up by an hour. Everyone knows the schedule for the gala is set in stone every year. It hasn't changed in ages. And yet here you are, a piece of garbage, thinking you can just move your lips and change the world as you please. He sneered. I actually admire your mental fortitude, Arthur. Did you practice this scene 1,000 times in the mirror after your company went bankrupt? Imagining you're the king of the world, able to command hundreds with one call? Today, I'm going to let you feel what it's like to fall from the clouds straight into the mud. Serena's face was contorted with rage. She lunged forward and grabbed my arm, trying to drag me toward the exit. Arthur, I must have been blind. That's the only reason I could have ever loved a delusional windbag like you. Someone who doesn't know the difference between life and death. So your company was going under. Is that any reason to turn into such a pathetic fool? You've become completely neurotic. Get out of here right now. If our family, Victor's family, gets dragged into your mess, it'll be a disaster, she hissed. The ones who are sick aren't me, I replied calmly. It's both of you, isn't it? Before Serena could get any closer, my assistant swept in and shoved her to the ground. A woman like you isn't even worthy of being in President's presence. Serena sat on the floor, fuming. This is hopeless. You're both stupid beyond reach. Just wait until the directors and supervisors arrive. You're dead men walking. Victor hurried over to help Serena up. She fought back tears and shook her head, whispering, I'm sorry, Victor. This is all my fault. I can't believe I was ever married to such a madman. Will he affect your promotion? Victor looked into her eyes and gently wiped a tear away. Him? Affect me? Arthur is nothing. He turned back to me, mocking. Didn't you say the gala was moved up by an hour? Well, 30 minutes have already passed. Why hasn't anyone arrived? And didn't you say you were firing me? I haven't received a single notification. In fact, I'm still standing right here. Since we were classmates, I'll give you one last out. Leave now, Victor sneered. If you do, I might still take pity on you and ask the judge to go easy on your past. But if you insist on this path, tomorrow I'll make sure your heroic deeds go viral in our class group chat and the local news. Don't be afraid of losing your reputation when the time comes. You'll already be the laughingstock of the city. I glanced at my watch. You still have 20 minutes to keep shouting. Over the past 2 years, the Ever family group had grown at a lightning pace, becoming the financial titan of the entire city. This was thanks to a strict time management system and a humane, yet firm policy of rewards and punishments. Arthur, you're still pretending even on your deathbed. You are truly hilarious and incredibly stupid, Victor mocked. The moment Victor finished speaking, the grand doors of the banquet hall were slowly pushed open. Mark, the assistant and vice president of the company, entered alongside the directors of dozens of subsidiaries. Behind them followed a powerful procession of nearly 50 high-level executives. They marched in with an imposing aura. Chairman, you are already here. Seeing the top leadership of the company, Victor's eyes lit up. He scrambled toward them immediately. Sirs, you have no idea. There's a fly in here disrupting the order of the venue. I've been trying to get rid of him for a long time, but he refuses to leave. Please have him removed immediately. Victor's direct boss, Manager Jiang, looked furious. Who is it? Who has such audacity? It's him. Victor pointed triumphantly. I leaned back in the chairman's seat, looking at Manager Jiang with a faint, knowing smile. Victor saw my silence and straightened his back, feeling invincible. Arthur, what now? Are you scared? My boss is here. Let's see how long you can keep up the act now. He turned to Jiang. Boss, hurry and take him away. Don't let him delay us. We need to start the gala as scheduled. But in the next second, the air was filled with a series of sharp cracks. Victor was slapped 7 times in a row by Manager Jiang. Victor clutched his stinging face, utterly bewildered. Boss, why are you hitting me? Jiang was trembling with rage. Victor, if you want to die, go ahead, but don't you dare drag me down with you. Do you have any idea who this is? You called him trash that needs to be cleaned up? I think the only thing that needs cleaning up here is you. Victor stood there, frozen. He forced a smile that looked more like a sob. Boss, you mean he is? No, it's impossible. I investigated him. He's just a debt-ridden loser who can't even stand on his own 2 feet. A total failure. But the row of company executives didn't even look at Victor. Every executive in the room stared at Victor as if he were a complete idiot. As Victor continued to stammer, his confidence evaporated, and his voice dwindled to a pathetic, nasal whimper. At that moment, Manager Jiang struck Victor again, knocking him to the floor and leaving his mouth bloodied. "My deepest apologies, Chairman," Jiang cried out, bowing low. "It is my failure for not managing my subordinate properly. I have allowed him to offend you. Please, give me one more chance. I promise this will never happen again." I waved my hand dismissively. "It's quite all right. Just a moment ago, your subordinate claimed I was a fraud, that I was just acting. He said my character was lacking, that I was arrogant, and that I was unqualified to sit in this seat." I leaned forward slightly. He even wanted to have my legs broken and my body thrown out of the banquet hall. Jiang glared at Victor with murderous intent. "Is this true? Did you actually say these things? Have you grown so bold that you dare to insult our esteemed chairman? Get on your knees. Now, beg for his forgiveness." Victor was utterly catatonic. He kept whispering to himself, "How is this possible? There must be a mistake somewhere." Furious, Jiang kicked him. I said, "Get down." Victor collapsed like he was paralyzed. He looked at me, his eyes unfocused and glazed with shock. You are Arthur? The chairman of the Ever family group? How? Your company went bankrupt, didn't it? And that restaurant? I investigated it. You weren't the legal representative. You weren't even listed as a shareholder." I gave him a thin, cold smile. "The fact that you couldn't find anything simply proves that you aren't qualified to look." My tone remained calm and steady. "I told you, I am the only person in this room with a right to sit in this chair. You just chose not to believe me. Shut your mouth." Jiang barked, slapping Victor twice more. "President, I am deeply sorry. I have failed the company by allowing such scum into our ranks. I resign." I nodded slowly. Resignation accepted. People like Victor, hiding under the banner of being a manager at the Ever Group while acting like a fox borrowing the tiger's terror, had no place in my organization. "I believe this certainly wasn't the first time," I said coldly. "Why not kill the chicken to warn the monkeys today? If we don't, people like them will only become more rampant in the future." I signaled my assistant to step forward. "Because you accepted kickbacks, engaged in corruption, and embezzled company funds, all involving serious economic crimes. We have already called the police." How is this possible?" Victor stammered. Serena finally snapped out of her daze. Her eyes were as wide as bells, filled with utter disbelief. "Arthur, are you really saying that the Ever family group belongs to you?" Hearing Serena speak, Victor's vacant gaze slowly sharpened with a murderous focus. He scrambled to pick up the documents scattered on the floor, stood up, and lunged toward Serena. He slapped her twice with all his remaining strength. "You bitch! You killed me," he roared. "You didn't even know your own husband's true identity? I'll kill you." Victor looked like he had gone completely insane, like a wild beast escaping a cage. His eyes were bloodshot as he wrapped his hands around Serena's neck, squeezing tightly. Serena clawed at his hands, but she was no match for his frantic strength. Her face turned from a flushed red to a deathly pale, and then to a bruised purple. It was a haunting sight. I watched as Serena looked at me. Her eyes were no longer full of disdain, but filled with pleading, regret, and absolute despair. "You cannot survive when you do wrong by your own soul," I thought. Who else could she blame for this? Originally, she could have been a dignified, noble lady. She could have spent her life in luxury, freedom, and comfort. But her hatred for the poor, her obsession with wealth, and her pursuit of cheap excitement led her here. Now, she would reap what she had sown. Just as Serena was on the verge of losing consciousness, the police arrived. They swarmed Victor and hauled him away. "Arthur, just you wait." Victor screamed as he was dragged out. "I'll still be a man when I get out of prison. That will be the day you die." Another empty threat from a man looking for trouble. Serena was also unceremoniously kicked out of the banquet hall. The annual gala proceeded as usual, though it was certainly the most unforgettable one I had ever attended. After the gala, I was leaving in my car when Serena desperately blocked the road. The car was forced to a screeching halt. She began pounding frantically on the window. I slowly lowered the glass and looked at her, my voice neither cold nor warm. "Ms. Serena, is something the matter?" I asked. If I hadn't seen it happen, I would have been shocked. Her face was so swollen from the blows she'd taken that she looked like a different person. Where was that beautiful face she was usually so proud of? Arthur, I'm so sorry, Serena sobbed. That day at the reunion, I was possessed for a moment. All these years, I've truly always loved you. Great men like you shouldn't hold grudges against someone as small as me. Please forgive me. Give me another chance. We can start over, can't we? I looked at her unmoved. You said it yourself once. No matter what happens between us, any misunderstanding should be settled the same day, never left overnight. You seem to have forgotten that. Back when I loved her, I treated her like a little princess, holding her in my palms as if she were made of fragile glass. But she repaid that devotion with betrayal. She cheated, tore apart another family, and knowingly committed every wrong possible. She went out of her way to humiliate me, to shame me, and to trample my dignity into the dirt. Today, everything she suffered was a consequence she had invited upon herself. I slowly took out my earphones and smiled at her. I didn't catch a word of what you just said, but if you're sick, you should go to a hospital for treatment. Why are you bothering me like this? Isn't the story between us long over? Serena stood there, stunned. Huge tears rolled down her face, stinging the open wounds on her cheeks. She winced in pain, yet she remained stubborn, her voice filled with a desperate, defensive edge. Arthur, for things to have gone this far, do you really bear no responsibility? She cried. Your company clearly took a turn for the better. It grew into a financial giant. Why did you intentionally hide that from me? Were you that afraid I'd take your money? From the very beginning, you never truly trusted me. You're just a hypocrite who talks about justice and morality while hiding the truth. I pushed the car door open, forcing her to step back. Did I not tell you? I told you that restaurant was mine. Did you believe me? I told you I was the chairman of the Evergroup. Did you believe me then? But the moment Victor opened his mouth, you didn't even stop to think. You believed every word he said without a second of hesitation. It's because he was a director with a salary of tens of millions, and I was bankrupt. From start to finish, all you ever saw was money, I said. Now that you know my true identity, you regret it? Do you have even a shred of shame? From now on, get as far away from me as possible. Don't make me sick. If I ever see you again, I'll make sure you regret it. You still want a piece of my fortune? I just donated all of it. I wouldn't give you a single cent. But I'm over a month pregnant. Serena wailed hysterically. For the sake of the child, can't you forgive me just this once? You can't let this baby be born without a father. My brain momentarily stalled. I hadn't touched her in 3 months. How was that possible? So, being with me wasn't enough? You had to go out and taste other ginseng? I sneered. Whose seed is it? You are a woman who doesn't deserve to walk this earth. A gold digger with a rotten soul. You aren't even worthy of being a mother. Serena's eyes suddenly flashed with a terrifying light. You mean, as long as I get rid of it, you'll forgive me? We can start over then, right? I let out a sharp, disgusted snort. You really need to check yourself into a psychiatric hospital. Without another word, I got into the car and didn't look back. As the car moved forward, I saw Serena in the rearview mirror collapsing to the ground and howling like a wounded wolf. Crocodile tears. If she thought she'd get an ounce of sympathy from me, she was dreaming. From this day forward, Serena and I are two parallel lines that will never intersect. I know that with her out of my life, everything will only get better. Later, I saw Serena's name on the news again. She had been arrested on suspicion of streaming inappropriate content. Ever since my ex-mother-in-law and ex-brother-in-law found out my company hadn't actually gone bankrupt, they tried to storm my office multiple times to cause trouble. But I had them thrown out every time. After several calls to the police and subsequent arrests, they finally stopped harassing me. There was just one thing. My ex-brother-in-law was a gambling addict with massive debts to loan sharks everywhere. Having no money, he forced Serena to dress in provocative, daring outfits to dance on live-stream platforms. He was the one responsible for contacting all the big spenders on the list, making Serena earn money to pay off his debts. Serena, of course, hadn't wanted to do it, but she had no other choice. Victor was sentenced to 7 years in prison. After his original happy family fell apart, his wife suffered a complete nervous breakdown and was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She harbored a murderous hatred for Serena. In a fit of rage, she personally caused Serena to lose her unborn child. Because the pregnancy was already several months along and the incident was so violent, Serena suffered a severe uterine hemorrhage that couldn't be stopped. Her uterus had to be surgically removed. When my assistant reported this to me, my lips curled into a satisfied smile. As for the scumbag brother-in-law, he had his own twisted logic. He blamed Serena, calling her blind for losing a cash cow like me. He lamented that if she hadn't been so foolish, the Serena family would have been famous long ago, living like royalty. The brother-in-law took advantage of the fact that Serena could no longer get pregnant. He used it as a selling point to force her to take on more clients to pay off his gambling debts. Eventually, Serena crossed paths with a sadistic client who took pleasure in using various tools on her. He brutalized her until her body was covered in bruises. To make matters worse, the man never even paid. Serena was treated as nothing more than a toy. In a state of total brokenness, she called the police to report the man, claiming she was standing up for women's rights. I closed my notebook. "Don't tell me about what happens next," I said. "I don't want it staining my hands or ruining my mood." "Yes, Chairman," assistant replied. "We've just successfully negotiated a contract worth tens of billions. Is it time to celebrate?" I nodded. "Also, double your bonus for this month." Late at night, I sat in my bathrobe before a floor-to-ceiling window, gazing out at the city's night view. A bright red spark glowed from the tip of the cigarette in my hand. In the darkness, a seductive and glamorous figure wrapped her arms around me from behind. The story ends here. The plot is similar to the pretending to be poor CEO story, and the ending and details are a bit questionable. Thank you for listening.